What's going on? How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody had a good Christmas, good holiday season. Anyway, we have some Penn State news. Sorry, I'm sick, by the way. If I sound sick in this video, I am sick. But anyways, we have some Penn State news. So, Penn State's kind of been in a search for a defensive coordinator as of late. Jim Knowles, he left, went to Tennessee. Matt Campbell came in, seemed like he was bringing in John Heacock. John Heacock seems to be retired now, which was heavily rumored, so it was a little strange when Heacock he did originally follow Matt Campbell to Penn State. The role was kind of unknown, but now I think he is officially retired. Maybe not. I don't know. I think I did see reports. I was in New York all week, so I wasn't able to keep up much. But anyways, Penn State has hired D'Anton Lynn. They have taken him from USC. D'Anton Lynn was the defensive coordinator at USC these past few seasons, and he kind of went in there and turned that defense around a little bit. And we'll talk numbers and stuff in a few minutes there, but I'm I'm kind of split on this hire. I think it can be a very good hire. I'm not saying it's a bad hire. I don't think he's a bad defensive coordinator. I think that Penn State could have went out and got a bigger splash. I think I do trust Matt Campbell though. So what Matt Campbell sees in D'Anton Lynn and what I think he sees in D'Anton Lynn, I'm all here for, I'm for it. I'm for it. I'm not gonna knock it. I'm just saying right now I'm kind of split based on what I did see at USC. But anyways, let's get into it. So D'Anton Lynn, he has Penn State ties. I think that's a big reason because when you lose James Franklin, seems like a lot of the roster wants to transfer, especially even with Matt Campbell coming in. I thought that Matt Campbell would be able to retain a lot of them. It seems like the portal is still going to get pretty hot for Penn State. Seems like you are going to lose a lot of guys. And the majority of the guys that you do want to keep on this team are a lot of guys on defense. So you bring in a guy that has Penn State familiarity, and I think you'll be able to retain those guys more easily because they kind of know D'Anton Lynn's name around the locker room. Just being he played at Penn State, being he, like I say, he just has Penn State ties. And I think that when they see him coming in, knowing that he has Penn State ties and knowing that he did pretty well at USC, I think it'll make him want to stay. So I think that was big, was bringing in a guy who knows the Penn State culture that can kind of keep this team really out of the transfer portal, get him back because the defense looked pretty good in the Pinstripe Bowl. The defense did look a little shaky through the season, and once we got to see more of the younger guys in the Pinstripe Bowl, it looked a lot different. It looked very good. Like the promise is there. I think the hopes are high. Seems like Tony Rojas is also pretty. Seems like he's happy about the hiring. I know he took a lot of his Penn State stuff down off social media, but now it's back up. So if we can keep Tony Rojas, that's massive, and also some of the other guys as well. Penn State did target D'Anton Lynn before they got Jim Knowles last offseason. So James Franklin did target him, and James Franklin was very good with bringing in good defensive coordinators. Like it seemed like year after year, James Franklin was bringing in good defensive coordinators. That is one good thing I could say about James Franklin. And if he was after D'Anton Lynn, James Franklin has a good defensive mind. I don't think you can deny that. Like the defense was always good under James Franklin, other than this year. And that was another case with Jim Knowles. I think a lot of people know that when Jim Knowles goes to a team their first year, they typically don't look that great. And then when you see the second year with the defense under Jim Knowles, it just seems to work. I don't really know what goes on with Jim Knowles in that first year, but I don't think that was a bad hire still. I still don't think that was a bad hire for James Franklin. But I mean, like I said, James Franklin was after D'Anton Lynn. Matt Campbell went out and got him. So if you go after him 2 years in a row, you must see something there. And if two coaches see it, then there's obviously something. And also, I think USC made a push to keep him. So three coaches saw, and I'm sure more. I also did hear there were more teams in on D'Anton Lynn as well. So take with that what you will. But anyway, if you look at D'Anton Lynn at USC, let's go to before he was there in 2023, before D'Anton Lynn got to USC. Scoring defense, 121st. Total defense, 119th. Obviously, that defensive coordinator gets fired. Lincoln Riley brings in D'Anton Lynn, and the scoring defense goes from what is it, 121st to 56th. That's a massive jump. That is a massive jump for a guy who came in their first year and really did that. And the total defense, you look at total defense, they go from 119th to 77th. 77th, not that great. But when you go from the 119th to the 77th, you got something there. And I think a big factor of that was D'Anton Lynn. And also the third down defense was 21st in the country in 2024. If you look this year, USC scoring defense 47th, total defense 49th, rushing defense 61st, which was a slight dip from 2024. But D'Anton Lynn can recruit. I will say that he can recruit. And I think the fit was still kind of weird at USC. That's another thing. I just couldn't see him as a West Coast guy. Although his dad did coach for the Chargers. So his dad has had coaching experience. He's been around the NFL coaching. He's been around college coaching. So he has the experience. He's a good defensive mind. His dad was a good defensive mind. So when you're learning from guys at the higher level, you're probably, I mean, you're going to learn a lot from them, no matter how much success they had. Just learning from guys that are at that higher level, you're gonna have some type of success, I would think. And D'Anton Lynn he's had that. Can he elevate it even more at Penn State though? Because Penn State, I think they can recruit higher level defensive players, maybe not higher level, but they're better at developing defensive players, I would say, than USC. I don't think that's a question. You know, USC and D'Anton Lynn, they attacked the transfer portal pretty hard this past offseason on the defensive side of the ball because that was obviously one of their biggest weaknesses. That's been one of the biggest weaknesses on almost every single Lincoln Riley team, even if you go back to Oklahoma days. So they attacked the transfer portal pretty heavy. We didn't really see much of it. They went out and got some dudes, and we didn't see that much of a jump from the defense that you were kind of hoping to see over at USC. But I think if you keep this Penn State defensive talent around more, I think D'Anton Lynn could come in and his numbers are going to change drastically, especially with Matt Campbell being there as well. And Matt Campbell's other defensive personnel, I think you're going to see something really good. And I think he fits right in the Penn State mold for obvious reasons, better than he did fit at USC. I think the fit's very good, is basically what I'm saying. And he's going to fit right in with this Matt Campbell coaching staff. I think Penn State's defense is going to be right back there, especially if you can keep the key guys. Amari Campbell, you can keep Tony Rojas, you can keep. I mean, Darius Dixon's looked great. Some other guys, some other guys as well. There's a lot on the defensive side of the ball, and they're very young. So I think D'Anton Lynn could come in and do some pretty good things. That's basically all I'm saying. And so let me know what you guys think in the comments. Oh, before that. Another thing that I was wondering about. Will D'Anton Lynn bring any of those guys over from USC? USC has some talented players on defense. They do have some talented players on defense, very much. Are any of those guys going to follow D'Anton Lynn? That's what I'm wondering. Because there's some good guys on USC that I would happily bring over to Penn State. Especially in a year with, like I said, you're probably losing some. Doesn't matter who you bring in, you're still going to lose some. You're going to have to hit the portal pretty heavy. And I think that's already known to all Penn State fans. Everybody knows that Penn State's going to have to hit the portal heavy on both sides of the ball because a lot of the roster will be gone. And that is one thing that D'Anton Lynn's done very good is work in the portal. He did it at USC. I think he's going to do that at Penn State too. You have an increased budget to work with. You have Matt Campbell to kind of help recruit. So I think you'll see D'Anton Lynn very active in the portal. You'll see Matt Campbell very active in the portal. You'll see Penn State in general very active in the portal. I expect some big guys, and I'm curious to see how many come over from USC because I know some are going to come over from Iowa State. I mean that's obvious, and I'm curious to see what the defense looks like next year because, like I said, there are some young guys that could be starting right now. There are some young guys from that Pinstripe Bowl that I was watching that probably should be starting right now. So very interesting to see if D'Anton Lynn's going to see that and if Matt Campbell even sees that as well. But anyways, if you're a Penn State fan, greatly appreciate if you did drop a subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. Um, Sorry about that. Like I said, I'm sick. So, anyway, lots of Penn State content coming. So, I'm gonna be doing videos on really Matt Campbell's whole staff that he's bringing in, and I'm gonna ultimately grade the hire after he brings in all the staff that he's gonna bring in. Very active in the transfer portal, so I'll be covering all of that. Really with players leaving and going, to be honest. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. I'll probably have. I'm gonna make it my goal to have the most Penn State transfer portal content out there. I don't know if that will come true, but that's my goal because I do cover other teams as well. But yeah, if you're a Penn State fan, I would greatly appreciate if you did subscribe or um, just leave some feedback. I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments. Let me know what you think of this hire, and if you think Lynn is a good hire or a bad hire. Let me know if you would take D'Anton Lynn over Jim Knowles. Whatever, just let it fly in the comments, pretty much. So, yeah, just be on the lookout for all those new videos coming out, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.